What's one opportunity that's been a game changer for you in your career?
Yeah, I think just working at BlackRock, that was something that really changed the trajectory of my career.
Love that. BlackRock. Communication. One communication tip, Ben. You're an excellent communicator.
Pick up the phone.
Yeah.
I could take this many different directions, but I think pick up the phone. So I think people get caught up in email and focusing so much on like email communication in today's age. And, and sometimes, communication can break down over an email. So just being able to be comfortable and pick up the phone and talk to somebody.
Tone of voice is huge.
Yeah, right.
100%. Sometimes when you're going through a rough patch, just the sound of someone's voice can be comforting. Oh, bro, I bet you guys have a lot of jokes, inside jokes. All right. Every company has, jargon jokes, just for the record out there. Understanding. We can cut that if you don't like that part, dude. Understanding is the next part, Ben. You with me?
Yeah.
Okay. We're going with, what is one thing you wish you knew earlier in your career that you know now?
It's a good one. I think just keeping it simple. It's not what you know, but who you know.
Yeah.
So, it goes back to how I even got the job at BlackRock in the first place. I got the call, and even why I'm able to find success even in my current role now. It's having good relationships with people that trust you, that you've built over many years.
Love that.
Saying what you're going to do. And
Tom Kadar, our last guest, literally almost verbatim. And again, he is from an area where there are very affluent people in Orange County, but he said the same thing. It's like, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And deep, long-lasting relationships that have been built over time with consistency.
There you go.
Yeah. I love that, dude. So understanding that, knowing that, really leaning into that, you would say is something that you would have wished you would have understood even maybe a little bit more when you were younger.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I did a good job with just, when you're young, there's not a lot you could provide other people, but there's a lot of that other people can provide you in the form of mentorship. So when you're young, get out there and, engage interesting people and, ask them for 10, 15 minutes of their time just to hear a little bit more about their story, to pick their brain, and then follow up with them, keep them in your lives. And then soon, it goes from a mentor to a friend, to then maybe an investor, to a business partner, to an advocate, whatever it may be. But I was fortunate that I was just looking for guidance and asking folks, and I've always been very curious on successful people. I was really raised on self-help books and business books. So yeah, I guess that's, I think just keeping that in mind, that relationships are so important.
Great. That's amazing feedback. I love it. And we hear it consistently with all the successful people we've had on the podcast. It's a consistent topic. Let's talk about success to that point. What do you attribute your success to, Ben? We've already talked about grit. We've talked about you didn't have it so easy coming up. We've talked about you didn't go to the best school. You had to sort of grind your way, learn, talk to people, put yourself out there, pick up the phone. But what would you say if it was just one thing? This is the thing I'd hang my hat on for success in my life.
Having humility.
Yeah.
Which I think is extremely important. So understanding that you're never gonna know it all. And don't ever come across as someone who thinks he's got it all figured out. I think it builds a lot of trust and credibility with other folks if you're humble and you have humility and you don't take yourself too seriously, but you're also a professional. And so yeah, I think just having humility is incredibly important. And people that don't have humility, it comes across and you can pick it out pretty quick. And those are generally people that will most likely not, in my opinion, go very far if they work in a capacity that relies on other people like I do, right?
Yeah, that's interesting. I think there's a lot of ways to slice humility too, because I think there's false humility. I think there is people that project themselves a certain way. So I think actually just being willing to do the work is a sign of humility.
Yeah.
I think actually being able to ask a question to someone and be like, hey, look, I don't know the answer to this. Can you help me? Is a sign of humility. I think giving to other people sometimes requires humility because it's not about me, it's about them without wanting something in return. Yeah, I agree. I think humility is huge. We can get into submission and, like spirituality and all that kind of stuff too. Candidly, it's something I struggle with at times, Ben, because I can come in hot, bro. Just gonna be honest with you, man. I can come in hot.
I get a sense of that just from this conversation.
No, dude. But yeah, I think deep down, I'm always trying to practice humility because I did not get where I am and I'm not going to get where I'm going by myself, man. It's taken tremendous amount of help, other people. And, you know, it's all relationships as you talked about. So I love that very much. Biggest loss you've had to overcome in your career, Ben, to date, and what you learned?
You know, I think all losses or all failures are always, you know, they're always a learning opportunity. I know that's such a cheesy line, but I mean, I've made tons of mistakes over my career, you know, at points where it's like, you know, God, I really let this person down, or I made this mistake. It cost the firm some money or some reputation or whatever it was. But I think it's all about how you handle it.
Yeah.
And, you know, coming out of it. And then you kind of look back like, God, I'm so glad that happened. Because
Sure.
had I not made that, you know, that mistake or that failure, it would have never opened up that learning opportunity for me. So I know that's kind of a lame answer to your question, but you know, there's been tons of things that I've, you know, losses or failures that I've made, but I can't really think of one where it was like, you look at it and it was just a complete loss. You look back, I'm like, I'm really glad that happened because it made me much better. And it was a huge learning opportunity. And I think the biggest loss or failure is making the same mistake twice and not learning from it the first time.
Yeah, I would agree with that.